Unfortunately, researchers have yet to determine why the GLO code present in our DNA remains untranslated. That is, why the recipe for GLO is present but not carried out. It seems likely that a genetic mutation resulting in an inborn error of metabolism occurred in the past. Scientists almost universally assume that all humans share a complete absence of GLO, although it doesn't appear that any serious study has ever been conducted to verify that assumption. It is possible that this defect may not be as universal as is assumed. There are certain groups of people with a reputation for living well into their hundreds, like the Hunzas, who may owe their longevity to an ability to produce at least some GLO and some vitamin C synthesis. Further evidence comes from the fact that some individuals enrolled in vitamin C depletion studies were dropped from those studies when no symptoms of scurvy developed, or when vitamin C levels did not drop significantly over an extended period of time. Nature's recommended daily allowance, RDA, for goats. Although they can produce some vitamin C, domestic dogs and cats make much less than wild animals. This may explain why our favorite domestic pets eventually suffer with the same diseases as humans. But in the wild, and even on the farm, healthy mammals produce much more. When not facing significant health stresses, goats produce roughly 13 times more vitamin C than cats or dogs. An adult goat with the body size roughly that of an adult human makes about 13,000 milligrams daily. And the U.S. government still advises a recommended daily allowance, RDA, of only 75 to 90 milligrams. Furthermore, when under a significant challenge, seed-making animals can dramatically increase production. They can push output to 10 times or more beyond baseline levels. When faced with life-threatening diseases or severe toxic challenges, goats can produce as much as 100,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day. This natural increase in vitamin C output in the face of disease and toxin overload explains why so many wild animals tend to remain vibrantly healthy until they succumb to old age. It also highlights the human need to supplement vitamin C with variable daily amounts based on current health status. Low challenges and minimal stress call for lower daily intake, while progressively greater levels of illness and stress require increasingly more. In spite of all the scientific evidence that has accumulated on vitamin C over the last 75 years, the U.S. government has never recommended a daily intake of more than 90 milligrams. When adjusting for the difference in body mass, we find that cats synthesize up to 15 times more vitamin C per day than the government's RDA for humans. The same type of comparison reveals that a normal goat produces nearly 130 times more than the RDA, and the same goat under severe health challenges may produce an incredible 1,000 times more. Is it possible that nature knows something the U.S. government does not? Conclusion. Consider the facts. Most animals synthesize their own vitamin C. Although defective, humans carry the gene that would provide the ability to synthesize vitamin C. C-synthesizing animals produce vastly more vitamin C than the 90 milligram government RDA. C-producing animals radically increase production when faced with severe health challenges. Non-C-producing humans are much more susceptible to disease than animals in the wild. Individuals with the highest blood levels of vitamin C have a much lower risk of mortality. It is reasonable to conclude that primal man synthesized large and variable amounts of vitamin C. For some unknown reason, he lost that capacity, and with the loss came a greater susceptibility to infectious and degenerative diseases. But even if man never made substantial amounts of vitamin C internally, he clearly benefits from regular large doses of it. Studies support this conclusion by drawing a direct link between higher blood levels of vitamin C and a lower susceptibility to these diseases. In comparison to the daily quantities of vitamin C synthesized by C-producing animals, the U.S. government's RDA is pathetically small and inadequate. Although governments are attempting to limit access to vitamin C above the RDA, see Chapter 8, There is no good medical reason for such limits. In fact, there are many reasons to abandon the RDA altogether and supplement our need for vitamin C with amounts that our current health status, toxic environmental exposures, and risk of infection would dictate. A final thought. Could it be that vitamin C is unparalleled as a universal antimicrobial, unequaled as the ultimate antidote, uniquely effective in protecting against degenerative diseases, completely safe and non-toxic to humans, at home in the human body? In other words, the perfect panacea because it was intended to be so from the primal past? We live in an age of unparalleled access to information. No longer do we need to blindly trust our doctors to give us the best guidance for our health. Instead, our relationship with all health providers needs to change. We must become active participants in our health care. Doctors who refuse to consider anything beyond the traditional knowledge passed to them through outdated textbooks and biased training, or through aggressive marketing by pharmaceutical companies, do not deserve our unqualified trust. Blind faith in such physicians will only compromise our healthcare, your healthcare. The history of vitamin C therapy is glaring proof of this fact. Many doctors will not even believe their own eyes when it threatens what their textbooks dictate. So trust your doctor if you must, but verify.